Hey guys, I am Shaina and I'm doing my 422 on No Zombies Allowed. I really enjoyed this article because should a teacher find his way through a topic of study much like a student would while learning? And he exemplified the teacher that I hope to be by allowing his students to hold value and power with their opinions and ideas within the classroom, and that in and of itself is inspiring to me. My first quote is, I knew that a media studies course would likely be met with skepticism by certain teachers at Quincy, who believed that any time in school away from reading, writing, and arithmetic was time wasted. While I understand that this thought process is more common than not among educators, that like reading and writing and arithmetic are more important than other subjects, I often wonder what it will take to change those ideals. I think that schools today have almost like a moral responsibility to their students to have a well-rounded education, mainly because reading, writing, and arithmetic are not the only subjects that students can learn from, and they certainly are not the only subjects relevant to their future lives and careers. My second quote is, one of the things I enjoyed most about teaching media studies is the freedom it provides. Anything that relates even tangentially to the mass media or communication is a potential topic of study. Since I have no textbooks or state guidelines for the class, I'm not bound to present a certain amount of material or even to cover particular areas of content. After reading this, I felt as though all teachers should have this ability. I'm really familiar with the No Child Left Behind program, and in that knowledge, I recognize that with that program, teachers are quite literally stripped of the ability to provide their students with creative lesson plans, and their lesson plans are less intriguing and less exciting because more often than not, the majority of what they learn throughout the year is predetermined by standardized testing, and I think that is almost repulsive. My third quote was that we have to endlessly drill them with exercises and worksheets and tests that keep them busy but leave no time for doing or making things, no space for real thought. This quote was pertaining to the issue of urban minority students' ways of learning in a classroom, and even though that may be the case, I still think that this quote can be brought into all varieties of students. I find that too often in schools we see students are bombarded with information that has no relevance to their life. Through my own research in student teaching, I've come to realize that when you relate your lesson plans with students, they tend to grasp the concepts more often than not, and it also allows them to critically think about the subject at hand in a more interactive way. My only doubt with this is that of how much relevance do we adhere to our lesson plans, like how much of what's around them in every day do we attach to our lesson plans, and how much old school ways of teaching do we keep in our lesson plans? That's one of my questions. My last quote, I believe, was trying to indoctrinate them with quality television isn't the point. Better to teach them to become more discriminating themselves, to be able to see through the glitz and pseudo-style of a program to what lies underneath. The author goes on to give examples of shows like Ricky Lake and Cops, and he says that they hold dubious underlying themes and skewed social commentary that beg a debriefing. I thought that was a really nice thing to say because I personally find this to be almost an essential way of thinking, because children today are visually assaulted with skewed information about how they should look or what they should wear or how they should act or who they should aspire to be. And as far as I'm concerned, the act of breaking down said shows or advertisements isn't a practice that most children and teenagers or even adults are proficient at, and I think that needs to be addressed more often Otherwise, you have kids growing up with totally skewed views of the world and how they're supposed to be, and I think that that's really important that that's addressed in schools. So overall, I thought the article was really intriguing, and it kept my attention the whole way through, so that was nice. And I thought that the teacher himself had a lot of really great ideas on how to use technology in a positive way that allows students to address the technology effectively instead of use it in an interactive negative way. So I found it to be pretty helpful. Well, that's that, ladies and gents. See you on Thursday.